We're going to look at the story of the contest. Really, it's God's contest against evil, against people who have given in to evil. Okay, and so Ahab and Jezebel and the priests of Baal are really doing some corrupt and evil things. The murdering of people, the confiscation of property that is not your own, lying, deceit, things of this nature. So it might be good for us to look at this not only literally as the killing, the slaying of hundreds of priests, but of the elimination of evil forces. That is how it is being presented in the Bible, and we can talk more about it later. But I'm going to read aloud to you portions of chapter 18 and chapter 19 from the first book of Kings. And so I'm going to begin with chapter 18, verse 17. And Ahab is the king of Israel, and his wife is Jezebel. She is a Phoenician princess and totally devoted to the worship of Baal and Asherah. When Ahab saw Elijah, he said to him, "Is it you, you disturber of Israel?" He answered, "It is not I who disturb Israel, but you and your father's house, by forsaking the commands of the Lord, and you by following the Baals. Now summon all Israel to me on Mount Carmel, as well as the 450 prophets of Baal, and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab summoned all the Israelites, and had the prophets gather on Mount Carmel. Elijah approached all the people and said, "How long will you straddle the issue? If the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal, follow him." But the people did not answer him. So Elijah said to the people, "I am the only remaining prophet of the Lord, and there are 450 prophets of Baal. Give us 2 young bulls. Let them choose one, cut it in pieces, and place it on the wood, but start no fire. I shall prepare the other, and place it on the wood, but shall start no fire. You shall call upon the name of your gods, and I will call upon the name of the Lord. The God who answers with fire is God." All the people answered, "We will agree." And so they're calling out, taking the young bull that was turned over to them. They, meaning the priests of Baal and Asherah, prepared it and called upon Baal from morning to noon, saying, "Baal, answer us." But there was no sound and no one listening, and they hopped around the altar they had prepared. When it was noon, Elijah taunted them, "Call louder, for he is a god. He may be busy doing his business, or may be on a journey. Perhaps he is asleep and must be awakened." They called out louder and slashed themselves with swords and spears, according to their ritual, until blood gushed over them. Noon passed, and they remained in a prophetic state until the time for offering sacrifice. But there was no sound, no one answering, no one listening. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come here to me." When they drew near to him, he repaired the altar of the Lord, which had been destroyed. And so he's going to arrange stones which consecrated to the 12 tribes of Israel, and arrange the wood on the altar. When he had arranged the wood, he cut up the young bull and laid it on the wood. And he fills it with water over and over again, 3 times. The water flowed around the altar. Even the trench was filled with water. At the time for offering sacrifice, Elijah the prophet came forward and said, "Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, Answer me, that this people may know that you, Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back to you." The Lord's fire came down and devoured the burnt offering, wood, stones, and dust, and lapped up the water in the trench. Seeing this, all the people fell prostrate and said, "The Lord is God, the Lord is God." Then Elijah said to them, "Seize the prophets of Baal, let none of them escape." And Elijah brought them down to the Wadi Kishon, and there he slaughtered them. Now I'm going to move over to chapter 19, okay? Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, that he had murdered all the prophets by the sword. Jezebel then sent a messenger to Elijah and said, "May the gods do thus to me, and more, if by this time tomorrow I have not done with your life what was done to each of them." Elijah was afraid and fled for his life, going to Beersheba of Judah. He left his servant there and went a day's journey into the wilderness until he came to a solitary broom tree and sat beneath it. He prayed for death. "Enough, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors." He lay down and fell asleep under the solitary broom tree. But suddenly a messenger, meaning an angel, touched him and said, "Get up and eat." He looked, and there at his head was a hearth cake and a jug of water. After he ate and drank, he lay down. But the angel of the Lord came back to him a second time, touched him, and said, "Get up and eat, or the journey will be too much for you." He got up, ate and drank, and then, strengthened by that food, he walked 40 days and 40 nights to the mountain of God, Horeb. Then he came to a cave where he took shelter. But the word of the Lord came to him, "Why are you here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been most zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. But the Israelites have forsaken your covenant. They have destroyed your altars and murdered your prophets by the sword. I alone remain, and they seek to take my life." Then the Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord. The Lord will pass by." There was a strong and violent wind, rending the mountains and crushing rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, a light, silent sound. When he heard this, Elijah hid his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. A voice said to him, "Why are you here, Elijah?" He replied, "I have been most zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, but the Israelites have forsaken your covenant. They have destroyed your altars and murdered your prophets by the sword. I alone remain, and they seek to take my life." The Lord said to him, "Go back. Take the desert road to Damascus. When you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael as king of Aram, which is modern-day Syria. You shall also anoint Jehu, son of Nimshi, as king of Israel, and Elisha, son of Shaphat, of Abel Meholah, as prophet to succeed you."